Okay, so this is going to be the final video. I'm finally going to read to you all Moon. This is probably the part where I withdraw into my self-conscious state of mind, because I had a friend, my friend didn't actually read, as I was redrafting and stuff, my friend didn't see it. But one of my friends, I let her know that I won, because she writes as well, and she was really happy for me, and she was reading it and she was just gushing over it. But as she was reading it, I was sort of following her along, and a part of me was just I don't know why my inner critic decides to pop up at this point, but it was almost I don't know, there were parts where I was my writer brain was you could have done this differently, you could have done that differently, and I was stop, just let me have this moment. But I guess that's just what I'm always I have this weird thing where I'll feel really proud about something, and each time I create something new and I've redrafted it a couple of times, I get it to a place where I'm happy, I'm yeah, but because this is one, it's almost a part of myself is it's weird. I don't know if that's just because no matter how hard you try to remain objective, maybe you just get linked to your piece of writing, but I don't know why I'm trying to be my harshest critic, but who knows. So I'm going to share it anyway. I also really like the picture that MJ found to represent it. It's quite similar to what I actually had in my head of this dark basement place, just minus the tiles, but it's a very accurate picture that represents Moon. So, you cannot trust the light. That's what Moon told me. Whenever it slipped through the bars of our concrete fortress, I would scurry to the farthest corner. This corner allowed me to become a shadow. If I could hide and live as a shadow well enough, then the light could never destroy me. It could never destroy us. Moon said the outside was poison. It had to be. That's where the light came from. Birdsong tormented me. I would clamp my hands over my ears in an attempt to block it out. This never succeeded. They were Lucifer's messengers. Their delivery was intrusion of our unsuspecting minds, filling them with thoughts of adventure and sweet lyrics of "come outside." Creatures touched by the light were forsaken, never to be saved. Despite knowing these dangers, Moon took great risks to feed me. At the bottom of the steps, I listened for the distant ding of the box that trapped light. It would then bring down a plate of something delicious, usually something pastry-covered or potato-based. Moon had mottos regarding food. Crust equals no fuss, and starch warms the heart. It was true. All it took were a few seconds to throw away our paper plates, and I never felt empty after a meal. In return, I did everything for Moon. I scrubbed until the soap entered the cracks, setting them alight. I let him enlighten me with his touch. He said that's why I felt scared, because of the words sounding similar, and I recited the sins of light: withering, bathing, molting, facing, basking, heating, and blazing. When I pleased him, he called me his solar panel. I didn't know what it meant, but the name was special as he only said it to me. He never called the others that when they used to visit here. This made me feel distant and closer to Moon simultaneously, if such a feeling were possible. Did clouds experience this in relation to the sun? They always passed around notes that Moon would store away in a safe. He'd pat some of them on the shoulder and dragged up my mattress from downstairs for them to lounge on. It was the only one without holes. But that's all I knew. I stayed separate from them and did my job, ensuring Moon was happy. When I first moved in, Moon would always show me pictures of dead plants. It was like the joy had crumpled up inside of them, leaving them brown. He was trying to protect me. It worked. Soon, I didn't want to go outside. I didn't crave the light. I wish it had never existed. Moon saved my life. If it wasn't for him, the light would have killed me a long time ago. Those pictures were his first lessons. They taught me about the sin of withering. Everything the light touched eventually perished. To live a long life, I needed to stay indoors, and the thought of never seeing Moon again was all I needed to heed his wisdom. On days when my muscles ached, Moon would massage them and remind me how fortunate I was. Imagine living in the sin of bathing. The light drains your energy, makes you lazy, and then, when it has fooled you into thinking you're safe, it burns cancer into your skin. His fingers would squeeze my shoulders. My heart would plummet. our slow breathing the only sound present. This word lived with us. It was passed around like a plate of bread at breakfast. Moon would whisper it in my ear when I had selfish moments of questioning my purpose here. It was his rod to guide me. It increased the love I held for him, my saviour. Moon kept the cancer away by keeping me inside. Light dictates the way we live, Moon proclaimed from his lying position on the mattress, while I was on my knees with a bucket of water mopping up the vomit stains and the white powder they sniffed up a rolled up banknote. I paused. How does it? The sin of molting. It chooses what you wear. People strip when they're hot. He rolled over onto his stomach, and even in the dark I could sense his eyes on me. But I didn't want enlightenment today. Moon was too rough when he was in one of his educating moods. Resuming my mopping, I asked, what did I look like before? When I rescued you, you wore a t-shirt and shorts with holes in, and you had a pair of sandals too big for your feet. You were a scared thing, my poor solar panel. I tried to bring the memory back, but couldn't. Why can't I remember that? Moon sighed. A note of pleasure exited from his nose. The sleep medicine I had to give you. Medicine, I echoed, but Moon's breathing had quickened. He was ascending to the place he went to often. He went to often. A world separate from our own, far away from the light and even away from our sanctuary of darkness. I wished I could join him, but Moon made the rules round here, and it wouldn't end well if I broke them. He often reminded me, you're free to live your life the way you want here. Outside, the light would take that freedom away. This would send me into a frenzy of pacing. I would take the steps down and then up and then race back down to sit in the corner. It was my way of trying to shake off the guilt. If I could return to the shadows, then maybe Moon would forget my questions, but Moon remembered everything. He knew everything too. I could only hope for the forgiveness I didn't deserve. How could I doubt Moon's words? He would never lie to me. He wasn't from outside. There was no corruption in him, but secretly, I sometimes wondered if I was even free. Evolution was not determined by the sun. It played no role in developing people. It sought to ruin them. Over time it eroded houses and rotted away the flesh of roadkill, revealing the fragile skeleton underneath. It exposed everything. It even turned their brains to mush, or as Moon would put it, the people outside are lost. Their brains have been damaged by the sun, the sin of facing. They see things in a misguided way. They would judge us and take me away from you. His voice would break and he'd leave me at the bottom of the stairs. Alone. To lose Moon would be to lose everything, my home, my protection and bond. Being consumed by the light would have been a kinder fate than that. If I lost Moon, I would go willingly. Moving on from the sin of facing, he explained how it evolved into the sin of basking. If I went into the light, people would notice me. We didn't want that. He delivered this lecture with such conviction to the backdrop of Here Comes the Sun, I never questioned it further. Heat is dangerous, Moon told me one sweltering day when the concrete felt like it was melting my skin. I stayed silent. An energy passed between us. It was one of those rare, unspoken moments where I knew Moon would not permit my voice. He was in one of those moods. His own pupils were absent in the darkness, leaving a faceless mass of black drumming warnings into me. It's dangerous because it dulls our minds. In response, my heart thumped as if it wanted to escape too. His knowledge of the treacherous outside shadowed mine. How had I survived before he found me? I couldn't remember. The light must have dissolved the memory. Or the medicine. No, Moon wouldn't hurt me like that. Dull minds lead to risky behaviour. If you leave, the light will kill you, eventually. This truth terrified me, but it didn't prevent me from almost committing the sin of blazing. Even in our world of darkness, the light had a way of calling my name, the name I had forgotten. Moon was sleeping off the powder, snoring as loud as the clanging we often heard beyond the blocks. I had finished cleaning the place. I was bored. I couldn't play the music box as Moon had locked it away somewhere to prevent me from waking him. Apart from my imagination, there was nothing to do. For a while, I danced around the room downstairs and took flying leaps onto the mattress. Soon I tired. The puffs where I landed on the mattress made me worried that I would cause it to flatten. This meant it would end up looking like the stodgy scraps of pancake Moon had attempted once. I wasn't complaining. I didn't know how to make food, but I wouldn't be able to sleep without the mattress. Sometimes I heard scuffling through the blocks along with laughter. Then there would be a satisfying thump, thump and bang against the wall. I would knock back, but this hurt my fist and nothing ever answered. So I leant my back against the wall and just listened to the different voices. After a while, the voices started to float further away. I panicked. I didn't want to be left alone again. It reminded me of before, lonely days spent in the sun. A peek wouldn't hurt. Tiptoeing up the stairs, I noticed Moon was still sleeping. The plywood door with the latch was waiting for me. Like the light, it had always been waiting. For the first time, I saw the door anew. A barrier turned into a gateway. Each step was closer to the forbidden outside. Once in front of it, my fingers twitched. This world that had been forbidden for so long, a world I used to live in. What had led me here? What made me leave it all behind? Had I really been that unhappy? What had I run from? All these questions rooted me to the spot, but they couldn't prevent my fingers from clasping the latch. Next thing I knew, I was on the ground. Grit had grazed my cheek. Back on the streets, that graze was a badge of honour, but those days had set a long time ago. Bruises covered every inch on my skin. I didn't need to see them. I could feel them. Hills of rubbish I once stood on. My lip and head throbbed in unison, like the diggers I used to pretend were a private band playing just for me. What a fatal mistake I'd made. How could I have been swayed by the light? It was probably the same reason why I'd left the old place to begin with. I was weak. Later, Moon came to apologise. He pressed cotton that had been soaked in icy water against my wounds. They burnt. This must have been what hellfire felt like. This water had never been in contact with the sun, unlike me. It was pure. I was not. Each flinch he murmured. I pictured his eyes squinting as if the light wanted to burrow inside, jealous that it held no presence over Moon. All I want is for you to be safe, he whispered. I shouldn't have lost my temper like that. He wiped away my tears and cradled my battered body in a gentle hug. Guilt would swell up inside of me, like the billions of stars I imagined scattered across the sky. They had come from the stories Moon used to read to me when I first arrived. Is all light bad? I asked, as Moon dabbed the cotton against my bloody lip. What do you mean? He stroked and spoke into my short hair. Like the stars. Moon placed a hand on my shoulder. It's not worth the risk to find out. They seem friendly enough, but when they fall, they're on fire. Do we trust fire? I shook my head. Fire was Lucifer's toy. Then we don't trust stars either, he concluded. After that incident, I vowed I would never go near the door again. Unfortunately, the world does not care for our vows. I don't know how many days passed by as normal. We had no calendar to track our lives. We were content that we had each other, but the light was envious of what we had. That's what I thought as the light's booming voice came from behind the plywood door. Its force splintered it open. Light intruded, its voice a million strong. I was blinded. My arms reached out for Moon, but he was nowhere to be found. Figures of light passed, but they wore black. I shut my eyes and curled into a ball. If this was the apocalypse, it could take me, so long as Moon was spared. He didn't deserve to be taken away. One of them picked me up from under my arms. Still, I refused to open my eyes. Moon was probably dead. Something stronger than a fan brushed against my arms. More voices bounced around. More flashes tried to prise my eyes open, but this was all foreign to me. I allowed myself to be dragged away, but the light would not enter me without a fight. You're safe, a minion of light lied. Moon, I said. That man can't hurt you anymore. Moon, I repeated as doors slammed and I felt ourselves moving without walking. I wondered if this is how Moon felt when he ascended to that other world, far beyond the light and darkness. All I could hope is that he had escaped to that world, and perhaps, one day, he would come to rescue me from the light once again. That's it. I'm probably gonna do an inspiration video on the next one because this is a really long video. I apologise, but anyway, that was my short story. And reading it out loud like that, I'm quite proud of it again. Anyway, if anyone's watched this, thank you. And yeah, I got it published. Yay! Bye.